Hello, and welcome to the Core Dog Experience, where I talk Ohio State Buckeyes, bringing you Buckeye talk from the fans' point of view. So, if you're liking Buckeye content or just enjoy Buckeye talk in general, please hit that like button. Please subscribe and check on those notifications, cause it's football season, y'all. Football is back. Finally, football is here. The spring game is coming up on Saturday, spring game Eve. So we're going to talk a little bit about the spring game and some of the stuff we're hoping to see from a fan's point of view, some of the stuff Ryan Day is trying to get done, and just get a good sense of what this season is going to look like as we get ready for the upcoming season. So again, hit that like button, hit subscribe, check off the notifications because the videos are going to start coming more and more the closer we get to opening day. Football season is here. Spring game is here. Mr. Hartline, our man Brian Hartline, the new offensive coordinator, Brian Hartline, much deserved promotion, whatever you want to call it. He deserves it. The man's been on fire, and he's still doing it again with the latest two recruits. We're gonna get into that. But Mr. Hartline, Brian Hartline, he wants to break the spring game attendance record. So he's asking all Ohio State fans to show up to break that attendance record. I believe he's pushing for 110,000. It's doable. It's doable. That's a regular sellout. That's a sellout game. So Brian Hartline, he wants to break the record. And we got a good chance. Because people want to see who the new quarterback's going to be. Who the new quarterback's going to be. It took a blow, but we're going to get in that with Mr. Devin Brown injuring his finger. He won't be playing, but it's a good chance. A lot of new faces, anytime you're breaking a new quarterback, I think the attendance is going to go up. So Brian Hartline is asking fans to show up and show out for the upcoming game. Just a little bit about the actual game. It's going to be similar to what it was last year. Modified scoring, offense against defense. Going to separate it, split it up somewhat to try to accommodate some of the injuries or some of the folks that are just not going to have participating. So try to make it as even as possible. Is it going to be live tackling, save for the quarterbacks? Is it going to be some live tackling, And you got to especially now, you got to protect Kyle. And some fans, they want a regular game. We making us pay the price, and you want to show up. I want to see a regular game. Slow your roll. You ain't gonna get a regular season game. You ain't getting that. Not no spring game. They just trying to get in and out with no injury. So no spring game. Sorry for the folks that want to see a regular full on scale game. That's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. But you know how some fans are. We get gritty. We a little lower prices. We want to see a full game, but that ain't happening. That's not going to happen in the spring game. But it's Saturday. Can't wait. Spring game Eve. The big thing we wanted to see. The big thing I was waiting on. Even though I didn't think it was going to be much of a battle, but I wanted to see Kyle McCord go against Devin Brown, or see him about far on the field and see how they handle certain situations. But as we know, Mr. Devin Brown has a finger injury, and he ain't going to be playing. And I thought the only chance he had at all was to show out in the spring game to overtake Kyle McCord. From my understanding, prior to the injury, they were splitting first team reps. I think he really needed this spring game to try to unseat Kyle McCord. A lot of people are saying it was a battle. I never truly thought it was a battle. Ryan Day saying all the right things. Just ain't going to hand it to Kyle, but it's going to be hard for Devin Brown to unseat Kyle McCord heading into the opening game of the season. So so if this injury, it's a minor speed bump, as he calls it. It's a minor speed bump, but you're losing reps. This was your chance to do something in the spring game against live competition, against arguably one of the better defensive fronts in college football going into next season. It would have been interesting to see how he would have performed, and and see if the so-called controversy, if you want to call it that, was even warranted. I don't think it was. You gotta put a little bit of pressure on Kyle McCord to make him earn it. But I think Devin Brown really had to show out in the spring game in order to have an opportunity to unseat Kyle McCord. But he's not going to play. It's going to be difficult for him to do it for the remainder of the summer and overtake him heading into that opening game. So that leaves us with Kyle McCord. He's going to get the majority of the reps, which he should anyway. Now this makes it easier for Ryan Day now to give Kyle McCord a lot of the reps. He's going to need it because he didn't, for whatever reason, he didn't play him last year. Even when he brought him in, Kyle McCord was he just handed the ball off. He missed opportunities to develop Kyle McCord last year in some of those blowout games, but it is what it is. So, no Devin Brown. That leaves us with Kyle McCord getting the majority of the reps, which it should be at this point. So, no Devin Brown. So, we're going to see some of the Oregon State transfer, Tristan Gebbia, and then and some of the walk-ons, Mason Maggs and Chad Ray. So, the battle that was ain't going to happen. This is Kyle McCord's show, and he's probably going to ride this all the way into being the starter on opening day. I just don't see Devin Brown overtaking him during the rest of the summer practice sessions. So we'll see how that plays out in terms of the quarterback battle, and hopefully Kyle McCord will continue to develop and get ready for the opening day, because I do believe he's going to be the opening day starter, barring him getting injured. Lord forbid, knock, 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 knock on wood, that he does not get injured during the summer. So with no QB battle to look forward to, what does that leave? It leaves the offensive line, because we lost a lot of folks on the offensive line. Both our tackles are projected to be first round picks. At least Paris Johnson is, and DeJuan Jones has an opportunity to. So we'll see how the draft plays out. So the battle is for the tackle spots. I believe Josh Fryer, for all indications that I have read, that he has the left tackle spot pretty much locked up. The battle is for right tackle. Tegra Shabola, I think, and Zen Mikowski. That is the battle for the right tackle spot. And according to Ryan Day, none of our tackles are performing up to standard at this point in time. So hopefully we will see some improvement during the spring game and see what they look like, because they're going to be going up against some of the better defensive ends they will see in the country should JTT and Jack Sawyer both play. If not, we got some young guns that should be able to give them problems as well. So we'll see how that plays out on the tackle part. And who looks better? Tigre is moving over from guard. How he adjusts to the tackle spot, that's yet to be seen. Mikowski's, I believe he's been out there on the edge at the tackle. So it'll be interesting to see how that battle plays out and who holds up better. It's probably going to be a battle that goes on throughout the summer, but this spring game might do something to separate one from the other. Along the other offensive line, I believe our guards are pretty much locked up. Mr. Donovan Jackson has one spot and Matt Jones the other one. The only question now is center, with, I believe, Jacob James he got the majority of the second team reps last year, but he's out injured. The doors open for Carson Hinesman, and from the transfer portal coming in from Louisiana Monroe, I believe, he does have starting experience. He's gone up against some SEC teams, Victor Cutler. So it's going to be interesting to see how the center battle plays out with Luke Whippler no longer in the mix. He's moved on. So good luck to him and his future endeavors. But yeah, center and our tackles, those are spots we need to see some improvement on and see how these guys are going to do. It's going to give us a good indication what our passing game is going to look like, because C.J. Stroud, he wasn't under too much duress last year. He wasn't. And that's owes to the offensive line. So we're going to be seeing what Justin Fry can do development-wise and getting these guys ready to go. So the O-line battle on the offensive side of the ball, that's one to watch now, since the quarterbacks Ain't no battle. The quarterback battle that ain't it's not going to happen for the quarterbacks. It's the Kyle McCord show, and we'll see some of the other guys. Some of the other guys they might actually even get tackled. Kyle McCord ain't getting tackled. We're just going to see how that plays out. What I'm interested in seeing is our young receivers because I don't think any of the veterans are going to play. I don't see Harrison playing a big chunk. I don't see Emeka playing a big chunk. Julian Fleming, I don't see playing a whole lot. We might see Ballard because he's been out. He needs to make his mark at some point with all these young guns behind him. He needs to do something to make his mark in that receiver room. So it's interesting to see our young guys go up against our corners, which are experienced. We got some experienced corners. You wouldn't know it based on some of their play last year, but we got some experienced corners who need to show improvement. They really do. Denzel Burke, from all reports, he's having a good camp. Jalen Johnson. So we got some folks on the cornerback side that need to show up and show that they've made this improvement that we've been hearing about during this spring camp. And then our secondary safeties, Proctor's back, Lathan Ransom's back, Cameron Martinez is back. So the secondary is experienced. It's interesting to see how they hold up against the passing attack. I'm pretty sure it's going to be led by the young receivers, and we got a lot of them. We're going to need a lot of them because we're losing a whole lot after this season. And a lot of folks were mad or complaining about the recruiting classes. We're bringing in our receivers. Like I said, we're getting ready to lose a whole bunch. Harrison's gone. Fleming's gone. Emeka's most likely going to be gone. And better hope none of them transfer. I mean, there's a good possibility some of them will, but if they want to be developed, they're going to stay here because you see what Brian Hartline is doing and how our receivers are performing in the NFL. But we got Caleb Burton, Caleb Brown, Kojo Antwi, Kyon Graves, and again, Jaden Ballard. And then it's not even bringing in the class that's coming in now with Carnell Tate, Brandon Ennis, Noah Rogers, and then just the two recruits we got heading into next year, Jeremiah Smith and Mylan Graham. So Brian Hartline is tearing it up. It'll be interesting to see how our young receivers get out there and play. Because again, when they came in last year on the blowouts, Kyle McCord was handing the ball off. I don't know why we don't had opportunities there to get those guys some in-game experience. It's not our job to stop ourselves. If our second stringers come in there and can score and put up points, why go in there and just hand off the ball and everyone know you're going to hand off the ball? I don't think that does anything for anybody, but that's been Ryan Day's philosophy. So hopefully he might change that up somewhat if we get some blowout situations this year because he has a young team and needs to get those guys some experience and some reps. So that's the offensive side of the ball. Going against our corners, what I'm also interested to see is our young linebackers. We haven't got to see a lot of them play. Eichenberg, Cody Simon, and Still Chambers had the linebacker position pretty much on lockdown. So I'm interested to see C.J. Hicks. A lot of conversation about how good he is looking. Reed Carrico, Gabe Powers. I'm interested in seeing them, and they'll get a chance because Still Chambers is hurt. Still Chambers is hurt, and I believe Cody Simon is also hurt. So these guys have a chance to make their mark, move up some in the pecking order. I think Eichenberg and Chambers are safe. Not sure about Simon and his playing time. These guys get still some snaps away from Cody Simon in this upcoming season. So interested to see how they look. And the one person, if there's one person, drop it in the comment. If there's one person you want to see during this spring game, who would that one person be? Who would that one person, you just want to see this one person and to see what they have to offer because they haven't had a lot of opportunity to date. For me, that one person is Sonny Styles. Sonny Listening Styles. I'm just throwing that in there because he just reminds me of that's just that type of ball player. He's gonna be rugged. He's gonna be rough. And I'm interested to see what Sonny Styles can do given some playing time. So that's the one person I'm really amped to see. And I know there's Lathan Ransom, like I said, Cameron Martinez, Proctor. They're all back, but if Sonny But based on their play last year, if Sonny Styles can get in there and crack that lineup some and make that secondary better, I'm anxious to see it. So, who are some of the players you want to see offensively, defensively? Who's that one player? Not some. Who's that one player? Got to be that one player you guys want to see. Drop it in the comments. And while you're doing that, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit those notifications. And as football season's coming up, we got to gear up. Build this thing out. Build this out. So hit those likes. Hit those subscribes and notifications. So that's the spring game. Let's talk recruiting. Because Ohio State's been tearing it up recruiting wise. And I never got up. Folks, you always got that yeah but crowd. You had that yeah but crowd out last year. Ended up with the number 5 recruiting class, but you had that yeah but crowd. You know them ain't never happy. They are all receivers. It was receiver heavy. Like I just mentioned, we getting ready to lose a bunch of receivers. So you're going to be happy we got a loaded and stocked receiver room. But still, folks weren't happy. So they're interested to see how we're going to do in this recruiting cycle. And so far, got off to a slow start. Let's admit it. It was slow. But boy, has it picked up. It has picked up a lot. And people were crying bloody. Oh my gosh, this is stuff. Braylon Edwards, the Ohio State's falling apart, all because they got a running back out of Ohio. Jordan Marshall went up to Michigan. Oh, the world's caving in, and oh my gosh. Oh, mind you, we just probably a 50-yard field goal away of winning the national championship, but Ohio State's falling apart. Anyway, Ohio State's falling apart. But have we not picked it up on the recruiting trail these last few weeks? Have we not? Yeah, we lost Jordan Marshall, but look, started with the twins. Got that lot. Y'all been wanting offensive linemen. We got a pair of them. James Peoples out of Texas. Remember the last time we went to Texas and got a running back? JK all day. Hopefully this guy, James Mr. Peoples, can come in and do that and ease the blow of Mr. Marshall going up to Michigan. Top 5 running back of Mr. Peoples. We kept it going. Peyton Pierce, linebacker. Number 2, highly rated linebackers on board. Mylan Graham, another 5-star receiver to pair up with Jeremiah Smith, another 5-star receiver. And let me get back to Pierce for a little bit, because Mr. James Laurinaitis, little animal, little hawk, whatever you want to call him, he back and he's making that impact. A lot of folks are hoping he makes that impact on defense that Brian Hartline is making on offense. And if we keep getting players like a Peyton Pierce into the mix, oh, he's on his way. He got ways to go. To catch Brian Hartline. But if he makes that, he has that type of impact on defense, woo, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But then the jewel of the class, Mr. Prentice Air Noland. Is there a better nickname for a quarterback than Air Noland? That's just, and I seen some of the video. The boy is smooth, quick release, can throw it on the dime. I think we're gonna do all right at quarterback moving forward. Again, the sky was falling when Dylan Raiola decommitted. We may have dodged one, because he still ain't committed from what I can see. I don't know what he's waiting on. I don't know what it is that's going to make him pull the trigger. But as far as I know, he hasn't signed yet. So we may have dodged a bullet. We'll see how that plays out. But as it stands right now, the number 2 class in the country, we jumped all the way up to number 2 with this rush of commitments we've had over these last few weeks. And as my man pointed out here, they don't mean nothing until they sign. I previously mentioned that commitment's too strong a word nowadays. You can't use the word commitment when you're talking about recruiting anymore. So the term I started using until someone comes up with something better and engaged, because you can break off an engagement anytime. Like you can't commitment. So that's why commitment's it's too strong a word. Engage, because engage, you can get in and out of engagements like that ain't no thing. An engagement is more, it's to me it's more real, because it ain't official till you put a ring on it. Like the commitment ain't official till you sign that letter of intent. So That's just me. We engaged to these. We engaged to the number 2 class. When they sign, that'll become official. Become official once they sign on the dotted line. Once we put that ring on it, that'll be official. But for right now, the number 2 class, on paper, number 2 class. Commitment's too strong. It's too strong a word nowadays. That's my overall thing when it comes to the commitment and the recruiting classes. It's hard to get excited about commitments like the poster pointed out. It's hard to get excited about that, but until they actually sign. So we engaged for the time being. But we got the number 2 class. So hopefully they'll stay. Hopefully they'll sign the dotted line, and we'll see. And according to them, we ain't done. Every time a new person committed, they're saying, wait a minute, there's going to be more. There's going to be more. So we might be getting some more booms in the future. In the very short future, we might be getting some more booms. So it's coming from the recruits themselves who, again, they turn into recruiters, which is great. That's what I love about these classes. They turn into recruiters and try to get other guys to commit here. So we'll see how that plays out. Another big news item. The Big Ten finally got a new commish. Tony Petitti, the new commish, is on board in the Big Ten, and we're going to see how he does. A little bit of research I did do him, he helped broker it in, or from a lot of sources, he was the main person behind the BCS era and brokering that in and making that a reality. So if he brings that to the table, fine. If he's able to do some stuff like that here in the Big Ten, which is great. Other stuff I was reading about him, he's a very creative person. He knows a lot of knowledge about TV rights and media rights deals, and if he's creative in that way, and all indications are expansion is not done, we're not done expanding, and they're just waiting to get the new commish. If he's as creative as some of the stuff I've been reading, then he needs to go out and make his mark like Kevin Warren made his mark. Warren didn't get off to a good start. He didn't handle COVID situation well at all, but I think he made up for it when he nabbed USC and UCLA, countering what the SEC did and getting Oklahoma and Texas. I thought getting SC and UCLA, to me, outweighs what the SEC did. I think that USC and UCLA bring more to the table, to the conference in general. Media rights, gets more eyeballs, bigger market. I think he made a big impact, not only for the conference but for the landscape of college football. And I was saying some of my previous stuff. Go back and watch some of my previous stuff if y'all ain't peeped it yet. Subscribe, go back and watch. But I was saying some of my previous stuff that the next commissioners are going to want to leave their own mark. And the only way you can do that, in my opinion, is you got to go out and get Notre Dame. If you're creative, as people are saying you are, that's your go-to. You go figure out how to make that happen. Again, when I put on my Corey the commish hat, I gave some scenarios on how to get Notre Dame into the conference. Had a West Coast version that catered more to USC and UCLA. Then I had an East Coast version, which I think would be the way to go, because we all know Notre Dame, they got the media rights deal with NBC, and their football team could remain as an independent. The stance I was coming from is you got to do something to shake up where their non-revenue or their Olympic sports are housed. And right now they're all housed in the ACC. You want to get Notre Dame, you got to make it uncomfortable for them to remain in the ACC, because where else are their sports going to go? Their football team can remain independent. The other sports programs cannot. They need a conference to call home. That conference is the ACC. You go right over the ACC and force Notre Dame's hand. That's the route I would go. We'll have a whole nother segment on expansion, because that could be a whole conversation in and of itself. But the new commish, if you're creative, you need to call up Core Dog, and we can talk about how to get Notre Dame into the conference. I know a lot of Big Ten folks don't think we need them, don't think we expand them, but the expansion talk's not going away. And for everything I heard, more is to come. And if you're doing that, you got to get Notre Dame. That's my take. You gotta get Notre Dame. So Tony Petitti go get Notre Dame. We got to get Notre Dame. Um, next up, before we move on, and before I get that, before I move on, I just want to circle back to some of the recruiting stuff and some of the sky is falling talk we were hearing back when the NIL first came about. The sky was falling, we falling behind. And again, I wanted to point out that we did, at the end of the day, we did good in the transfer portal. We got one of the top rated safeties in the portal out of Syracuse. We got one of the top rated cornerbacks out of the SEC via the transfer portal. And this was before, I think, some of the NIL stuff was in place. But now, people are saying we're getting left behind in the NIL deal. What's Ohio State going to do? I remind you, this is the Ohio State. We ain't got to go sprinting head first into stuff. Take a deep breath. It's a marathon. NIL is a marathon. And what, lo and behold, they've come up now with the NIL collective. Ohio State's on board. They got their stuff together. They know how to do it moving forward. They just ain't going out and just doing and being reckless with it. From what I read, the NIL, they've used some of the NIL collective to help sign or bring on some of the recruits that they got coming in this upcoming class. So Ohio State, they've officially entered the era of the NIL deal with the NIL collective. So that should help benefit them moving forward. So there, Ohio State fans, we got some NIL stuff in the works. And again, football-wise, I don't know how big of a difference it's going to make moving forward. All the big NIL deals I've seen have gone to the Olympic sports, the gymnasts, the Olivia Dunns, and the twins out of Miami Hurricanes. The females are really benefiting from the NIL deals just as much as some of the football players might be. So, we'll see how that plays out. But Ohio State has an NIL collective. Should only help us moving forward and securing some of the folks we want to see and get on campus during the recruiting process. There. We got our NIL, folks. Breathe. We good to go. Lastly, I want to say congrats to pivoting some. I want to say congrats to Taylor Mikesell. Like I watched the ladies basketball team. Again, they had a great run in the NCAA tournament. Stopped the outstanding streak that UConn had when they knocked them out in the Sweet 16 and got to the Elite Eight. Beat UConn in the Elite Eight and made it to the almost got there, but they knocked out UConn and ended that terrific streak. So congrats off to our ladies basketball team and congrats to Taylor Mikesell, the 13th overall pick in the WNBA draft. The first Buckeye to be drafted since her new teammate in Indiana. She'll be joining Kelsey Mitchell in the Indiana Fever backcourt. So again, congrats to Taylor Mikesell. And hopefully she has a long and good productive WNBA career. And lastly, the Director Cup standings. Now I always bring this up because a lot of folks, especially when the NIL stuff first came out, people were saying we got too many sports programs. We need to start cutting some. Now I was saying we do so good in all these other sports. Why would you want to cut some? So somehow we got our NIL stuff now. Hopefully that'll calm some of that chatter. But Gene Smith, again, getting back to Gene Smith and the job he's done, he's overseeing a great athletic department here in general at Ohio State. So they just took the lead in the Director's Cup series, something we typically do all right in. It's something that's typically been dominated by Stanford, I think. But we took the lead, and we got the lead by over 100 points over the second place Texas squad. So, again, athletics-wise, Ohio State is doing really well. Hopefully we can hold the lead and finally win that cup. So, again, great job going on across the board in all Ohio State athletics. So, just keep it up. But in the meantime, spring game, I believe it's going to be on BTN, so check it out if you're not going to be there in the facility. Again, Brian Hartline wants to break that attendance record for spring games, and we got a good chance. A lot of new faces. A lot of folks probably wanting to see how Kyle McCord is going to do, so we got a chance to break that record. So again, if you're liking this content, if you love Buckeye Talk in general, want to hear from the fans' point of view, hit that like button. Please subscribe, especially as we heading into the new football season. Hit that notification button. Check a brother out. Help me grow it. So until next time, OHIO, go